views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow, everybody, welcome. It's so great to have you all tune us in, turn us on. It is so great for you to join us here today. I am so thrilled. I love doing this show with Glenna Rice. And there are a lot of reasons. You know, one of the reasons is that, we never really know how expansive the message is. The thing that I do know is that it is always expansive. And the other thing that I know is that we get to feature and honor people that are helping other people in ways that some have said would be impossible. But that's not what today's show is about. Glenna Rice is joining me here today. You know, for many of you, you know that what Glenna does is by far extraordinary. Her work takes her around the globe. As an access facilitator, she does some things that many of us would long to do. You know, and what is that? Helps each and every one of us understand what the world of possibilities is really like. Whether you know her as the questionable parent, how she empowers children to know that they know, or whether it is someone that is teaching a particular class to help us get in tune with exactly the true nature of who we are. Glenna is someone that is inspired by the blooming world of possibilities that she sees through the people she works with and through the people that she knows. When you have a peer group like Glenna has, when you have a peer group, you know, what I mean by that is when you have a group of people that you work with each day, and you watch what some people call miracles become the norm, the natural, life-changing events. You know, this is something that is now becoming the world that we like to refer to as the new mainstream of media. And why do we say that? Because the messages, the opportunities, and the possibilities for so many people have been, as they would think, beyond their reach. But that is not the world that we've come to know and the world that Glenna has come to know. And today, she and I get to talk with a very dear friend and colleague, best-selling author, international speaker, an amazing facilitator, Gary Douglas. He's known for his immense intensity of awareness. And why is that important? You're going to hear about it today. But also for me, I'd like to say, you know, his vision and his purpose to help people know what they know. And how do we know what we know? Well, you're going to hear about this today. He is also someone that embodies consciousness in everything that he does, inspires others to do the same. You know, when we think about the things that get created in our lives, and we look at what Gary has said yes to, as someone that is recognized thought leader, transforming lives, you know, also a founder of Access Consciousness, one of the folks that has come to the forefront to say, wait a minute, there's another way we can go about things. You know, there's another way that we can look at the creation and expansion of Access Consciousness, you know, by understanding very, very important concepts. Many of you have let us know that simple questions that you've heard Glenna talk about and you've heard me talk about have been life-changing for you. As a matter of fact, to this day, I live in the question that Gary shared with me, Glenna shared with me. Very, very important question. When I'm feeling stuck, when I think things are not happening the way I think they should, the question really becomes, what else is possible here? And so it is an amazing show because we're thrilled to be introducing, for many of you, introducing Gary to you, but watching a dream come to life. Glenna, thank you for joining me. What can we say about Gary Douglas as if he's not here with us?
Thanks, Dr. Pat. That was a wonderful introduction for both of us. Gary, wow. I'm so honored to have him on the show and to talk about this vision dream he's had since I've known him, which is, over the last 10 years, of having a school, an access school where we empower children to know that they know and learn from possibilities and from choice and awareness. And it's so different. And I've been learning from Gary, been inspired by him, and he's giving me tools for my children for years. And the tools he's given us to use in schools have been, I think every single one of the tools he has available we've used, and they've changed something. So this what's showing up now in September with the school opening is just so exciting for me. So Gary, hi.
It's great to have you, Gary.
Hi, how are y'all?
Good.
How are y'all, you people there out there?
I have to tell you, how does it get any better than this?
How does it?
Yeah. So, Gary, can you talk a little bit about your vision for the school, how it started, and what you see it creating?
It's like what I noticed for years is kids would be, it's like my youngest daughter was in school, and she was failing science. And she's really smart, but she just couldn't get it. And so I said, it's like I tried to work with her, and that didn't work. So I asked Dane to work with her, and I told him to look for and ask for certain questions. And what it boiled down to is I said, so you already know the answer to this question, when she hadn't even read the question. And the thing is that we as infinite beings see everything. So could we also see the future? Could we also see the question even though we haven't read it? It's like, what is it we're capable of seeing that we're not acknowledging? So one of the things that occurred is he started asking her about what she was aware of. And what we discovered is that she actually was totally aware of the whole answer before she even got the question.
Wow.
And we worked with that until she could look at the question and write down her answer. And she started getting A's in science. And I worked with a little kid who was in kindergarten, and he was failing reading. And they said he was obviously retarded and slow. And so I did some work with him about, so everything he had ever done in any lifetime that would allow him to read at the rate he was really capable of, I asked him to destroy and uncreate all that. 3 weeks later, he was reading at a grade 3 level. The teachers did not know how that was possible because he was a slow child.
Yeah.
He wasn't really slow.
Yeah.
It's like so many people put labels on these kids instead of asking them what they know and what they're capable of. That's the wrongness, and that's the reason we're doing the school is so that that wrongness is not perpetrated on kids ever again.
Yeah. I mean, Gary, one of the things you said that's so important and, I relate to directly is, growing up, I too was called slow. And I stuttered. And I don't know if we realize, especially in today's world, where labels are run rampant. We have labels that we put on kids that have super sneakers and kids that don't have super sneakers. Labels about whether or not you're technically, adept, or whether or not you can keep the highest SAT score, or which category do you fit in? Are you gifted, or are you special needs? Or, this goes on and on and on. And it's a label that kids have a a very difficult time, if ever, really shaking as they grow up because they're not introduced to the world of possibilities, are they?
No, they're not. And that's really the sadness. And that's one of the reasons we're doing the school, so that kids can have the possibility and the recognition of what they're capable of.
Mm.
Go
ahead, Glenn.
Gary was talking about working with a child that was helping with reading, and he worked with Saoirse, who was diagnosed with dyslexia, a label, when she was in second grade. And she really didn't start. Gary asked her amazing questions. The one he just did was one of them, and what was her first language is another question he asked her. And she finally learned how to read well in about fifth grade. And when she chose to do it, was part of what changed for her. But she's now reading, Beowulf at school. So she's reading at an above grade level. And she had a really severe case with everyone that was diagnosing her with. And she was able to change this with the Access tools. Mm. It was incredible. And the teachers were completely surprised. They did not see what was happening or understand what was happening, which has always been interesting in the schools, is how my kids have shown up completely different, and the teachers are not sure what to do with them, not sure how to be with them, and they've not seen anything like it. I think one teacher said, "She's just the most aware child I've ever had in my classroom," which is how these kids can show up so differently. And if there were schools and teachers like what we're starting here with Access that empower children to be that, like, what is that going to create in the future?
Well, and this is something we're going to talk about throughout the show, because we have a couple of issues. I want to say, I know I'm the one that gets to talk about issues. I know you both live in the world of possibility. So, for me, I get to talk about issues. One of the issues that I read about this morning is, the degree of depression and how it's related to, a child's lack of self-esteem. And so what we're talking about here is, not just stepping into the world of possibilities, but I can't say this enough. Somebody said to me, "Pat, if you mention the word empowerment one more time, we are going to just, we're going to just zip you." And I said, you know what? I love that word. We actually have a channel that is Empowerment Radio. And so I said, look if we're not doing something different, then what's going to happen? And here's what I love about this show. You're going to introduce all of us to what that different thing is. What does the world of possibilities look like? What is the school all about? How is it going to be different? And already we were talking about how it's different. But I think the question for Glenna, too, is how do we change the mindsets of the people that are running this show? You know what I mean? How do we do that? Yep. Let's take a short break. Gary Douglas joining me here today. Glenna Rice. When we come back, fasten your seatbelts for this. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. Make sure to add positive emotions to your counterbalancing thoughts. I know that feeling positive and compassionate toward yourself can be a huge challenge, especially when you're struggling with anxiety. Therefore, it's helpful to imagine that the main source of your negative self-talk is a younger part of your mind, which is just playing old tapes and repeating outdated protective programs. You will notice how much easier it is to speak in a calm, reassuring, and comforting way when you visualize addressing an inner child. By counterbalancing your negative thoughts with kindness and compassion, you automatically shift your consciousness and attitude from "I am powerless" to "I'm taking charge."
Let the transition begin. Tune in to the hit show, Majestic Insights Radio, Success for Life's Transitions, with host Carrie Keith. Carrie is a gifted intuitive coach, healer, and teacher who will lead you through her empowering techniques of ancient wisdom and awareness so you can live your happiest, healthiest, and most vibrant life. Let Carrie teach you the tools of transformation that will help you experience success for all of life's transitions. To learn more about Carrie, visit www.majesticinsights.com. Encapsulations is committed to producing the most complete line of research-based nutritional supplements, from fish oil to probiotics to multivitamins and more. Available through qualified health professionals and community pharmacists, finished products are pure and hypoallergenic to optimize the long-term health of all patients, even the most sensitive. With Pure Encapsulations, you can rest assured that you're getting the purest and highest quality nutritional supplements available. Ask a qualified healthcare practitioner about Pure Encapsulations today and discover why it's the supplement brand of choice for healthcare professionals worldwide. For more information, please visit www.pureencapsulations.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you feeling stressed, in pain, disconnected, worried about aging? Corrective alignment and integration therapy restores health. Move your body, which frees your mind and elevates your spirit. Bodywise Bodywork LLC provides the tools you need to create the change you've been waiting for. Start living a fully present and integrated life. Book your 15-minute consultation online at www.bodywisebodywork.com. Bodywise Bodywork LLC, because it's the only body you've got.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Glenna Rice joining me here today. Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness, talking with Glenna and with me about the Access Possibility School. This is where children will be empowered to access their awareness, their talents, and their abilities, and know that they always have a choice. And, we're living right now in a day and age where, people are looking at technology from many, many different perspectives. But when you're talking to the youth, at least in this country, but I actually talk to youth in other countries, they say that technology is going to be their way up and their way out. But part of the conversation is, what are we doing to help our children truly become empowered to be part of a different paradigm in the world? Gary, Glenna joining me here today. Gary, so excited about the school. I made a comment before the break, and I want to get back to it. One of the things that I said was, how do we go about, showing folks or creating a point of view that includes some of these children, and we don't just throw them out. We don't just throw them out. What do they say? Throw the baby out with the bathwater? Actually, I don't even understand that phrase, but that's really what seems to be happening for a lot of kids. I'd love to hear from Gary, you, and from you, Glenna, about that.
Well, for me personally, it's like I watched so many kids be dissed and, turned into mincemeat. And it's like, in particular, there was a kid that we worked with in Australia who he came to an event because we take kids that are like ADD, ADHD, OCD, and autistic, and we categorize them as what we call the X-Man, the future generations, the mutants of this reality, basically. And those kids get labeled and told they're bad and everything else. And there was a little kid who came to this, and it's like he could not put a sentence together. He could not control his eyes. Nothing about his life worked. He had been on drugs of one kind or another to handle his problem since he was 3 years old. He, at the time, was 14. And it's like within 2 years of doing Access, he was all off all medication. He'd gone from being the kid that created havoc in the class to the kid that helped others become more aware and more present and more capable in class. And he had turned his life around. Major change. It's like, I get that if we don't label and if we acknowledge the fact that these kids who are having these quote-unquote problems are actually a mutation of the species to a better order, a higher order, because in reality they actually communicate telepathically but don't know it. And if we started to look at that, what a difference it would make in the world.
An enormous difference in so many ways. Glenna, I know that you work with children and you work with parents. What do you see are the opportunities from your perspective to really create a shift for people?
Wow. I was just remembering this young man that Gary's talking about. He's now an incredibly articulate and highly functioning, wonderful man who lives in Australia. And I was at that class where he was not able to put a sentence together. So the changes Gary's talking about were dramatic with him. Where are the opportunities? Well, you were talking a bit on the break about teachers that you've had that have been actually an inspiration for you, that actually were able to help empower you to change things in your life. And one of the things that I see the school doing is the teachers that we have on board have through the traditional systems, they've been handicapped, and they haven't been able to be the teachers that they chose this profession for. They've never been able to step into this, and this school is going to give them those possibilities to reach the kids in the ways that they know how. So we're empowering the teachers to know what they know also, not just the children. And what is that going to create, and how is that going to, go out into the universe and change things where teachers can start teaching differently from what they know? And, the system is a pretty big system, but can we change it from the inside by starting to create these schools? Like, what is possible with all of this?
One of the things I love that we're talking about is the world of possibilities. And so often we put a cap, right? I mean, even people, I know you both talk to folks and they say, no, I don't do that. I don't put a cap on it. I don't do that. And yet, whether it's more obvious or conscious, we do, or more subconscious or whatever you want to say about that, we put caps on. For example, the mere selection of a college. Honey, maybe you should go to go to this college over here. Maybe you'd be better over here, and cut out an opportunity. So I want to ask about the school. What worlds of possibilities will the school help people see and step into?
For me, it's like one of the things that we've done is like in finding a curriculum and doing all the things that you have to do to set up an online school. One of the things that, it's like it's happened about 5 times now where we've talked to somebody who's been trying to do schools online and stuff, and they say, you're doing exactly why we set this up and what we've always thought needed to happen. And, they said it's like this is what school should be. And so I just am really glad to see that people see that our vision is what they too have been aware of and desired and wanted and knew was possible. And it's like there's a different way of things occurring, and I think it should. And it's like what I do is, it's like we looked at this from the point of view, and one of the things I talked with the teachers yesterday, and I said to them that what you got to get is you've got to strive to be what everybody wants to be in the future, and you've got to become that which will inspire others to reach out for more in order to create an education that makes sense. I think it's crazy that our CEOs of big corporations, they make $10 million and a teacher makes $40,000.
Yeah.
The teacher is creating the future generation and the CEO is creating profit. Why is it that we don't see the value of a child as the greatest profit that exists on the planet? That is my point of view.
Yeah, and clearly we don't, because one of the things you pointed out was so important is there's a measurement we use in this country, and it is pay for a number of different things we say we value, right? Right. And you're absolutely right about this. And the question really then, Glenna, is how will the teachers and how will the contribution here, how do you see it, Glenna, being different than traditional schools?
Well, empowering children to know what they know is completely different. That is not something that I've seen once in all the years. My oldest is 21, so I've got one through the entire system once, and the other one's about to graduate from high school next year. So I have never seen teachers that are doing that. Teachers are teaching this rote curriculum that they're required to teach. They're teaching for kids pass tests. And there's not a lot of outside the box that the kids have available to start pursuing and looking at things that would actually create more for their future. And they're not asking their kids that. Like if you have a child that is interested in art, what kind of artwork would create a future possibility for you could be a question. What do you see in your future? What could that contribute to your future? We're not asking any of those questions in a traditional school. And this school is going to give kids this different possibility of looking at what is going to create their future, looking at what they enjoy doing, having tools to negotiate the things in school that they don't enjoy doing, because there are requirements in school, and the school will have those basic curriculum requirements. They'll be available for the kids, but they're not always fun. And there's tools. Gary offered them so many of them over the years of allowing the kids to be able to negotiate the things you don't like, get through them, and actually have fun and do it with ease, and maybe actually end up enjoying some of the math problems that you had to do in high school. Go ahead, Gary.
And we're also trying to, we want the kids to learn how to use their awarenesses to create these steps. We want the kids to have all the things that are possible for them, including able to take the test and pass it with flying colors. And I know that if we continue down the line we're going, that will occur. It's like one of the things that was interesting, just the bars that we do. There was a kid who was 17 and he was graduating high school, and his stepmother ran his bars before a test. He got up the next morning and he says, "Wow, I know that I know all this stuff."
Wow.
He walked in and he goes, it's like, I know I'm going to ace this test. And he did. Thereafter, he had his mother run his bars every time before a test, and he got A's for the rest of his career in high school. And when he went to college, he had to run her bars before he did a test there, and that, too, created the same result.
Yeah, I have the number of times I ran one of my kids' bars in the car sitting outside the parking lot. I ran a few of the bars points before they went into class for a test over the years. It's totally something that it creates ease, and they know that they know, and they can get rid of a lot of that test anxiety they're picking up from other children with this. There's the immense amount of tools we have available to help kids are going to be offered at this school, and I'm so excited. Yeah,
because what you're talking about is, and as I'm listening to each of you, and we'll talk about this when we come back from break, you're not really talking about, well, we're going to take kind of the curriculum and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. You're actually going to incorporate, the access consciousness tools into the learning experience. When we come back, I want to talk about that and talk about, for people that may not know what running bars is, what they may not know about that, I would love to talk a little bit about some of the things you're going to be incorporating into this that clearly are unique to access consciousness in many ways. Let's take a short break. When we come back, more from Glenna Rice, Gary Douglas in the house today. If you've got a question, 1-800-930-2819. When we come back, we're going to give you lots of information on how you can find out about the school and what else you might need to know to really step into the world of empowered you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Dr. Linda Salvin, Metaphysical Master, now bringing insight and metaphysical abundance to your living room with her spirit-filled candle line, Wicks of Wisdom. Dr. Linda's unique formulations of pure and powerful herbs, oils, and essences can assist you in love, luck, finances, health, and more. Wait till you experience the power of Wicks of Wisdom. Find out how these amazing candles can help you. See them now and order yours at lindasalvin.com or call 888-509-1077.
Called the Oprah of radio by her listeners. Award-winning host Dr. Pat Baccili is blowing the doors off of traditional talk radio. Get ready for an energizing delivery and powerful interviews with leaders in the field of human potential. Dr. Pat's fresh, new perspective on living life full out has catapulted her show to the top of talk radio. Tune in and Dr. Pat will help you thrive instead of merely survive. Visit thedrpatshow.com. That's THEDRPatShow.com for listening times in your area.
Tune in to Prescience Life Radio with host Mia Simone. Mia is devoted to sharing her extensive knowledge on the invisible worlds of energy. Join Mia and discover the science of intuition and connect with your greatest gift. Start living in your potential today and every day by opening up to the power of inner knowledge. To learn more about Mia, visit presciencelife.com.
Tune in to the hit show, Get Into It, Winning at the Game of Life with intuitive energy healer and medium Lynn Brown on Transformation Talk Radio. Get ready to bring the magic of soul into every aspect of your life. Learn how to use spirit tools and experience the immediate connection with yourself as a spiritual being with natural spiritual abilities as you are guided on the pathway to success and joy. Visit ruintoit.com. That's the letter R, the letter U, intoit.com, and get into it now. Tune in each Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio to Limelight Radio with Katina Makris. This is an inspirational, cutting-edge radio show educating worldwide listeners on a diversity of Lyme disease-related topics. Each week, Katina will interview some of the world's leaders in health, wellness, spirituality, and human potential. For more information, visit limelightradio.com. Welcome back, everyone. It is so great. Glenna Rice joining me here today. Gary Douglas. It's all about empowering the children. And before we talk about, what does a curriculum look like, and how is this going to change? Can you both, or Glenna, maybe you or Gary, can just give us some additional information about how do we find out about the schools? I know there's a website. Just give us some information how to plug in here.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So the Access Possibility School is the website. And right now we have a free 2-day August, what was the date? Sorry, I don't have those.
8th and 9th. 8th
and 9th, there's going to be a free trial, or people can come online and see what the school's about. The kids can. It's for the kids, and afterwards I believe they're going to have something for the parents to see. So that's the 8th and 9th. It's accesspossibilityschool.com is the website, and you can find out about the teachers, about the vision behind it, and lots of different things. It's a great website.
Yeah,
anything else you want to add, Gary?
No, that sounds great. Makes me want to tap in.
I know. I've only got one kid left in school, so it's just coming. And she's really invested in her friends right now. So an online school, she was like, no. But she will probably do some of the tutoring on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing is we're going to have tutoring on there so that kids who are having a problem area will be able to go online and get help with changing what's going on in their life that isn't working.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that. I mean, hopefully she's going to be able to do some of that. And my oldest, who's in high school, senior year, I've been talking about getting some tutoring for some things with her for the year. So there's going to be, it's not just, it's 9 to 5 school. It's going to be an online school, but there's also other things that are going to be offered and available with the school. So, and you can check all those things out online.
I had a great new idea. We need to get some of the access kids to be tutors, peer counseling for the kids.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna work on that one. Cool. You just stimulated that idea. Thank you.
I love it. You heard it here first. I love it. And I was just thinking that because I work with youth in a 9-month program, and what happens when you're working with folks and then they grow up. The question mark is, okay, where do we go from there? How do these kids now help kids that were where they were. And boy, Gary, that is just amazing. That is great. That is so needed to have that peer mentorship, to be able to have that kind of gateway. Wow.
And kids, I'm just excited about this, because kids that have grown up using these tools and in school have so much available for kids coming into this. I know my son is about to move out and go to college, and Roisin, my youngest, was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without Aiden here helping me with my homework. And he's always used the Access tools with his, So having them tutor is just really exciting. Great idea, Gary.
It is a great idea.
Well,
so it's like it's like a youth mastermind group.
Yeah, you and Pat stimulated that, so stop that.
That's because I'll tell you, as a kid, I have to tell you, I needed all the help I could get. I really did.
And we all do.
I know.
We all do.
I know. Let's talk a little bit about, what this could mean for the future of education. And, and before the break, you referred to bars. And I would love for you to talk a little bit of, that's just one tool. There are many tools, and I'd love to hear from each of you what some of the tools are that are going to be incorporated in the program.
Well, the thing about the bars is there's a man named Dr. Fannin who started studying what the bars did, and he said he's never seen anything occur with the brain where it was cohesive, right side, left side were cohesive, like the bars create. And there's actually something online, isn't there, Glenna, that people can look up?
Yeah, it's a Google review of Access bars by neuroscientist Dr. Jeffrey Fannin. It will come up, and there's a YouTube video where Gary Dane and Dr. Fannin are all talking about how excited he is by what he discovered when he had his bars run and when he looked at the bars with his whatever he's using. It's a complicated thing on the head where they're looking at
it's a neuroscientist kind of thing, So
they're looking at the brain, at the brain while they're doing the bars, and he saw amazing changes that he'd never seen before.
So this is, it's like, for me, this is sort of a scientific validation of what we can actually teach these kids by using the bars to make it so that they're not in a sense of divided against themselves in learning.
Right.
And I've seen kids that had their bars run that were able to learn much easier than kids who didn't.
Let's talk about that for a minute, if we could. About this idea of learning easier, because so many kids, and we mentioned this early on, Gary. You talked about it. So many kids are put into a box, right? They're put into some box, some label. We have more labels now than we have ever had in the world of psychology, just so folks know. There's a reason that I didn't practice clinical psychology. And one of the reasons is the many, many ways we categorize people and limit them by a name, a category, or some label that is very, very difficult to shake. And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about how this level of education and training will create what I love to refer to as the ripple effect of empowerment.
Well, from my perspective, personally, it's like what I see happening is these kids that have done classes and stuff and done individual work with me with regard to their school and their schoolwork. It's like they've accomplished things that nobody else has accomplished. I had one kid who's in his 20s, he's mid-20s, and he, when I first met him, wanted to be a jumper. He wanted to run hurdles. And so we did some work with him on that, and within 2 months, he was running hurdles. He ended up being number 3 in the nation in hurdles, and he became, it's like hurdles. That's where they run across and then sort of jump over a barrier thing. Yeah. And it's like he became number 3 in the nation. And it's like, and he almost got a scholarship to go to college and then decided he didn't want to take it. He now is using the Access tools in his fraternity, and it's like he's not the oldest brother, but everybody goes to him for advice, and they're all taking what he has to do. And because of the changes that he made in his life, all of his fraternity brothers are now doing bars, and because of the ones who've done the bars and the results they got, now the rest of them want to do bars. So it's really having a dynamic effect in the college area. Because of that, because of this one kid who stood out from the crowd because he was willing to know what he knew, regardless of what anybody else said. Amazing to see results like that.
Wow. I want to ask you this question. I know that I love what just happened during this show. I mean, I'm always blown away when I have you guys on the show. The question that I want to ask you, each of you, is, and Glenna, I know you have talked about this time and time again, and it is the parents. And I want to ask what it is that you all say to the parents, because I don't know about you, I have found that kids are really almost like all in. I think they invented the word, and we had to create a separate arena for parents, right? So when we're working with the kids for 9 months, we're working with the parents. Can you both talk to what your experience has been?
Well, ultimately it's going to be the parents are going to, the young kids, the parents are going to be signing them up for the school. But yeah, it will be the children are choosing it, and the parents are choosing it too. Parents have been in this reality a little bit longer than their children, so empowering them to know what they know is sometimes not as quick as the children, but they're asking questions also. I mean, the amazing parents of the children that we see in Access are all choosing a totally different reality with parenting, a totally different reality with their kids, and they're asking questions to change things so they work for them, work for their family, and work for the kid. They're empowering everyone. So parents are definitely have to be on board at some level, or they've got to have amazing kids that are getting there around the parents. But most of the parents I see are so willing to look at different possibilities and look at the areas of stuff.
Most parents are very frustrated. I mean, schooling, is supposed to be a lot of things. I took my youngest daughter to Waldorf and put her in the Waldorf school, thinking that was a really good school. And I watched them, the teachers and the parents get together and decide that a parent wasn't good. So they kicked the kid out of the school. Sweetest little kid ever. Sweetest little kid ever. And they kicked him out of the school because of his mother. And it's like, I thought, this is just wrong. This is not the way it should be. This is using your judgments to punish a kid for having that mother. It's like he had enough problems with having that as a mother. He didn't need to be punished for having her as a mother. It's like, and he obviously had a lot of fortitude to have chosen somebody like that to be his mother. So, it's like, I think that kids need to be, it's like you need to see the kid for who they are and to function with that and not function against them because they don't necessarily line up with somebody else's point of view.
Right. Right, and I do see that in the parenting classes, that the frustration Gary's talking about with parents and the school systems and what's available for their kids and the way their kids are being disempowered, treated badly by the schools, by the teachers, and so much of it is, they go into resistance and reaction and try to fight the system, which doesn't help because the system just backs up against them. So there are ways that I found over the years to negotiate the school system with some ease with these questions of just what else is possibly or you haven't considered. And Gary's given some really great tools on how to work with the teachers and manipulate them so they actually work better with the kids, like, ways to go up to the teacher. Maybe, Gary, you can talk about how you can go up to teachers and get them to work with you better.
Go up to, it's like if you're a kid, you go up to the teacher and you ask them about something that you know about totally. Mm-hmm. Say, teacher, I'm really confused. Can you help me with this? And then the teacher explains it, and when the teacher acknowledges the awareness you already had, you go, oh, my God, I get it. Thank you so much. God, you're a great teacher. Because most teachers are vilified like crazy as well.
Yes.
But if you say that to the teacher, then the teacher will give you the benefit of the doubt from then on. They will know that you're trying, know that you're interested. So I teach kids to do that all the time. And with the parents, you have to do it slightly different.
I was just going to say that my daughter used that 2 different times last year in school with her grade. She wasn't getting good grades, and the teachers her grades went up using the exact tool Gary just shared with you. So it works. It works beautifully.
Well, and, part of this is exactly what you said, and Gary, I want to touch upon this as well. We do have a world we live in where rarely are we speaking about teachers the way that I just shared about Amy Sarrow, a teacher that literally, I believe, saved my life at a very young age. I've had a number of angels like that in the world. And there are many, many teachers. I have a friend that taught children, and what she did was she taught them how to play ukulele, and she would bring in her own ukuleles. And before you knew it, you had a class. And they did a concert at Benaroya. And this was outside of her, quote, job description. What I hear you both saying is that some of these things that some of the teachers do, which seem extraordinary, will be part of the education at the school.
Exactly. And I mean, one of the things we're going to have is we're going to have Spanish and English, or Spanish and French taught as well as English. And it is our hope, since we have Access people around the world. Access is now in 171 different countries. That's just unbelievable. And, it's like, so we have people who speak different languages. It is our desire to get it to where we have multiple languages being taught. But we're going to start with French and with Spanish. And we have some techniques for helping kids learn how to speak a foreign language really quickly and easily. And I've done it with people, and I've done it with myself, and to where I found that I could speak Spanish better than I ever knew, and I knew words that I didn't have any way of knowing how I knew them. But I could speak it without having to translate it in my head first, and that was phenomenal. And that's one of the things we'll shoot for with the kids, is being able to do that as well.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that we're talking again and let folks know the website about how they can do this. And, there is the live demo you talked about, for the virtual classroom, and that is August 8th and 9th. The school itself, I have starts September 8th. So let me just check with you. Is that still true for the school itself?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yep. And the website is accesspossibilities, IES, school.com. And for those of you out there, if you go to Dr. Pat Show, you'll see a link right from our website right to this school and information. For Glenna, you can find out about Glenna by going to glennarice.com. And, of course, accessconsciousness.com for more information about Access Consciousness. I'm like seeing generations of graduates then becoming teachers in this school. I don't know where I got that idea from, but it just popped right in my mind right here. I wanted to ask each of you to talk about the future. Here we are talking about the launch, but I'd love for each of you to talk about the vision you have for the future. Gary, would you like to go first?
Sure. What I see is this is the beginning of people actually recognizing that kids don't have to learn by repetition, that they can actually step into total awareness and total knowledge in a heartbeat. And if we actually were willing to see the gift that each kid is, and to get that they know things, and get how they can know what they know when they don't know it. One of the things that came from me personally from Access is I suddenly knew about things that I had no idea how I knew about, but I knew about. And I had an experience at the dinner with a biochemical engineer and talking about biochemical engineering for 3 hours. At the end of it, he says, wow, you're the most knowledgeable layman I've ever met in my life. How do you know all this? I said, well, you don't know. It's like part of it I took out of your head, and part of it came from me asking you questions, which gave me more information. And part of it is I have no idea how I knew it, but I knew it. He said, you haven't read any books? And I said, no, I've never read a book on this. And he goes, wow, that's phenomenal. I wish everybody could do that. And I wish everybody could do it too. And I would like to see it where these kids can step into knowledge about things that they, quote unquote, have no way of knowing about because that is who they are.
Yeah. And, doesn't this also really tap in, and Glenna, maybe you can talk to this, tap into the dilemma that I hear a lot of folks talking about, which really is the self-esteem, self-worth the dilemma. As a matter of fact, I had someone mention it as an epidemic in our youth, the lack of self-esteem.
These tools and what Access offers is something that creates a completely different reality for kids with that self-esteem. I've watched my 3 kids, the confidence that they have in what they choose, the ease that they choose for the things that work for them, and there is no doubt about what they choose in their universe. They know that they know the things that are going to create more for their future. And I've always, shown them that it's like, what will that create for your future? What's that going to create for 5 years when they're making choices about school, about their life, about a lot of things? And this is given the way they're negotiating the world is so amazing to me. And seeing the kids, like we talked about the future with these children out of the school being teachers, but I also see them as like these future leaders of the world. They're going to be coming out of these schools with this ability to know that they know, like Gary was just talking about. That's going to be available to them like it's not available to other children. And what are they going to create with that? That's exciting for me.
Yeah. It's like my grandson who's coming 4. It's like he goes to preschool, right? And it's like he's in preschool and he says, bye, Mom, gets out of the car and walks away. Okay? She doesn't have to take him to school. He doesn't cry. He doesn't do any of that kind of stuff. And all the teachers go, he's so self-confident. Yeah, he is, because he knows who he is. He knows what's true for him. And he knows his mother taught him to negotiate. And it's like everything is a negotiation. He says, I'd like a cookie, Mom. And she goes, no, not now. And he goes, well, could I have one? And she goes, well, maybe after you do this. Well, could I have 3 if I do that? It's like he's constantly in negotiation. He's 3.5 years old. He's already negotiating.
But, what we're talking about is a skill that doesn't even begin. I mean, you can't even have a negotiation conversation in school until you're in a master's program, okay? That's when you get to hear about negotiation. And by then, forget it.
And they can do it at 3.
They can do it at 3, and I see these kids negotiating all the time. And it's just amazing. And they have the sense that they're not wrong. And that's one of the things we want to get across to these kids. You're not wrong. You may not have all the information, but you're not wrong. And how do you get the information? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do to get the information I need to make this work?
Yeah. Wow. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me here. One last question from each of you. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with? And we so like to help and support you along the way. Glenna, you want to go first, then Gary?
Know that you know that you can choose a life that works for you.
I love it. Gary, how about you?
Know that you're not effed up as you think you are, and know that you can change anything by changing your point of view.
I love it. Thank you both for all that you do. Thank you both for coming on here and sharing it with everyone. And I want to thank all the listeners out there. And I just want to say to folks that if you want to find out more, go ahead and go to accesspossibilitiesschool.com. You're going to see stuff on the Dr. Pat Show and Transformation Talk Radio website, glennarice.com, and then, of course, accessconsciousness.com. We'll see you all next time.